if you wanted to achieve 70% gross margins, this is what the work should be priced at. Could it do it either A, in real time for the seller, or B, in quick enough fashion, you might say, right after this call, I'm going to digest what you said, and I'll get back to you within a very reasonable period of time with a price. And could it do that?
We don't want people wasting their time on inventory, wasting their time on pricing. Stop it. You've got a margin that you need to hit every quarter.
Welcome to Outsource to Profits. I have a fantastic guest. Jess, do you mind taking a moment? Tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us how you're changing the world.
Sure, happy to. I've been in technology for 20 years now. I have done business process outsourcing. I have done all sorts of computer and software development, IT specialization, always in the business to business space. And what drives me is finding ways to make things more efficient for everyone involved in the process. For the person who starts the business, we're looking to make every employee a more proactive part of the organization. For a customer, we're looking for every transaction and every interaction to be as smooth and simple as possible. We want to reduce every little piece of friction. But what I think we should talk about is really drive down on how current and future-looking technology products can make everyone who works at our companies more efficient, not in a way to eliminate folks, but to get them to be able to focus on the human to human interactions like we're having here, where they can be most valuable, and let machines deal with all of the manual and menial stuff.
And we're going to be talking specifically, sales is near and dear to my heart, and we're going to dive down the rabbit hole around pricing. And I always like to tell a quick story. I don't have a use case yet in which I'm using it for pricing, artificial intelligence. But let me tell you exactly what we're doing right now that can completely change how the average sales organization is using something like AI. We use Google Meet. Google Meet has Gemini attached to Google Meet. A lot of times people have chosen Zoom because they like the interface, but they kind of forget the real power is the transcription that comes from it. So what happens is we record in Google Meet, goes through Gemini, and then it goes into OpenAI into prompts, 2 prompts. One, we have a prompt that gives a 6-point note system that goes into HubSpot. So we know where, what, when, why. It's almost like account-based account planning of what happened on that call. Last action, next action, and so forth. So a grade 5 kid could read it. But more importantly, the second prompt takes everything that we're saying and it analyzes it against MEDDIC. MEDDIC is a qualification criteria, and it scores it. So that was measurable. Did you talk about decision-making process, decision-making criteria? Is there a champion and on the call or a competitor? Did we talk competitor? All those details. And so that I have a perfect note system in HubSpot to be able to weight the opportunity against forecasting. This used to be all subjective, lick your fingers, put it up in the air. Now it doesn't exist anymore.
It was make-believe before, let's get real.
It is make-believe, exactly. So I'm going to throw this question to yourself. We want to focus in on pricing. Can you describe, almost like from the situation, the challenge that arose before, and then how are you solving that and real use cases around pricing?
Sure. So particularly in specific markets, pricing still to this day in the middle of 2025, with all of these tools available, with all of the information you can get, there are still a preponderance of manufacturers, suppliers and distributors, and even buyers who are trying to keep pricing transparent. So it doesn't matter which direction you go, but I'm going to start from the buyer and move back up, because that is kind of where we should be driving. The customer comes first, right? So let's talk about the customer first from a data perspective, from a price perspective, from a buying perspective. So they're not sharing what they're paying because they want to pretend like they're paying less so that the competitors to the people they're currently buying from will underprice their products and services. They are thinking like it's a zero-sum game, and they're trying to beat people down on price, which ignores all the other factors they're getting, like amazing service, uptime, right? So literally uptime, that's one of the companies that I've met at a few of the conferences I've been to. Janesh, his last name escapes me. He's doing kind of what we're doing on pricing and supplies with equipment and making sure it always is working so that people are taking care of their top line revenue. If you have an empty chair, a piece of equipment that's not in service, you've got supplies that you've run out of, you aren't making top line revenue. So they're concerned just about literally this number on the paper. They're concerned about purchase orders. They're concerned about, hey, what can I get from another guy? Well, how can I undercut this? They're not thinking holistically about all the ways they can save money and make money. Top line and bottom line. This should be everyone's forefront. And it includes lots of aspects other than just the price you're paying for a good or service. Then we move up to the person who is the distributor, the supplier. Almost no one in this world is a manufacturer selling to a customer. We have this middle layer, and that middle layer isn't telling the manufacturer what they're getting for the product, and they're not telling the customer what they pay for the product. They think by keeping that secret, they're saving some sort of secret sauce and they can make more money. This is short-term thinking. And finally, they don't want to tell their other people who compete against them what they charge. Guess what, guys? Everyone knows. It's actually not secret. So we get up to the manufacturer level, and every manufacturer is like, well, I just want to make this thing. The reason I just make things and don't sell things, the reason I'm not also a wholesaler or a retailer, is because I want to focus on my business and manufacturing this stuff. But I'm still not going to tell people I'm paying for inputs. I'm going to try and get the highest profit margin possible. I'm going to try and do the shortest term contracts so I can change all the time without having to be pegged into things that are disruptive and unknown. Right now, tariffs, for instance. But it could be input to manufacturing process. It could be employee wages. It could be the cost of retooling assembly lines. There's lots of components. Yeah. What we have now, though, with software and technology is a way to harmonize all of those viewpoints. We, for instance, at Base 86 have built a product that enables anyone from the manufacturer to the distributor to the end purchaser, which could be a health system or just a doctor's office in podunk nowhere, just doing, one guy or one gal just doing their thing in a little office. Doesn't matter what size you are. We have a bunch of tools that will eliminate all the manual and menial stuff, and also eliminates all the secret stuff, where everyone can discover that what really makes money for them is focusing on what they do best and focusing on their customer. Now, if you don't spend your time trying to be opaque about your pricing, and you don't spend your time trying to reprice stuff for every group, if you've got a system in the background working with a margin protect function, you could be the CFO of a startup company. You could be the CEO of a giant conglomerate. You could be the CMO of a rapidly growing mid-sized business. Doesn't matter where you're at or what your role is in the company. If you're not spending your day in and day out trying to hide the pricing and the inputs, and you're focused on the quality of your product and the quality of your interactions with your customers, you will make more money. And so that's why we focus on this area that we think should be completely eliminated. We don't want people wasting their time on inventory, wasting their time on pricing. Stop it. You've got a margin that you need to hit every quarter. Just put it in the system and let the system price it for you against every good you can possibly sell, every person you can possibly sell it to. And that works at every level. It works in the manufacturer, the distributor, and the customer, the buyer.
I love where you're taking this, and my vision. Now, tell me if this is possible, where the puck is going. So I recognize you're working in the healthcare space, but in the agency world, in professional services, basically human capital is the major lever that changes gross margins.
Less scalable.
Yeah, unless it's in the paid media space where you've got a fixed cost for buying a widget, as an example. So before we did the recording here, you were talking about this idea. Imagine we were on a split screen, or we had two screens. One screen, I'm watching you, the customer, on a Zoom or a call, and the other screen is ingesting information. Tell me if the puck has gone this way or could go this way. As you were talking about this, here was my vision.
Mhm.
You're the prospect. I'm, the guy who works, I'm an account manager at an agency.
Mhm.
And you describe the services that you need, the deliverables you need. And you say, I'll make it from my world. We have a 3-page website we need to be developed. I need you to build these graphics for social media.
I need one-pagers for my customers that are incoming. I need a different one-pager for my outbound. I need stuff from all my conferences.
Imagine it was ingesting this information, and in real time, it's calculating the workload required to get done, and it's estimating even if your pricing was gold, silver, bronze, or if you were going to, quote it from a black box and give an actual price, it could tell you if you wanted to achieve 70% gross margins, this is what the work should be priced at. Could it do it either A, in real time for the seller, or B, in quick enough fashion, you might say, right after this call, I'm going to digest what you said, and I'll get back to you within a very reasonable period of time with a price. And could it do that?
I only have one question. How long's the call? 5 minutes?
30-minute call.
No. How about a 5-minute call? In 5 minutes.
Oh,
in a 5-minute call.
Yeah.
What we set out to develop for real world products, which have known inputs, but also have far more unknowns. So when we're talking about your business, when we're talking about people capital, human capital, you have anticipated growth rates. You know how much your average input is. You know how much people are paid. That doesn't change much over a year.
Nope.
So we actually started with a more difficult problem, which is the physical goods, which have different input costs that change all the time, even though a lot of manufacturers and their wholesalers do 6-month contracts. Those are painful because they're constantly trying to arbitrage and or maximize their profits based on whatever could happen in that 6-month period. Let's get rid of 6 months. Let's definitely get rid of annual forecasting. Let's at least get to
because of fuel and tariffs and
who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, right? I mean, there's the great productivity manifesto, the 12-week year, which says, hey, treat every quarter like an entire year. So you have an end of year, you've got New Year's productivity, you've got all the stuff you get. Let's start planning for quarters instead of years. And even in the quarter, let's actually plan week by week. That can happen for human capital just as easily as for physical goods or products. And why it should happen is that you can value yourself and your time and the inputs that are required to produce all of the things you're describing. You can value them in real time. They can be valued based on all the different inputs. Do you need to start giving, let's say that we're in a work environment where we are more creative in person versus on a screen like this. And so we're still making people commute. And we need to adjust their salaries or give them a bump or give them a travel bonus based on gas prices, based on tariffs, based on whatever. We can be reformulating all this stuff in real time. We can even have contracts based on this. And you can do all of your forecasting about what things should be priced at in the moment with graphs, with absolute stuff that you can share as much or as little detail as you want. And that's one of the big things. People are like, well, I don't want to share this, that, the other. Okay, fine. You can have any level automatically outputted during a conversation. Let's not talk.
If you want to make it, yeah.
Let's not talk about having split screens. Let's talk about combining the screens so that you and I are talking on a video just like this. And that screen that's off to the side that's giving the information. When you're ready to share that information, you hit combine and it moves over to the screen and it becomes a split screen next to your head. And now you're talking with the graphs next to you about pricing, performance, the areas you're going to distribute, the conferences you can get someone into, the placements you can get them in media, paid or unpaid, all of the logos and other designs. AI representations can come in as like, look, this is just a representation that the system made based on what we're talking about so far. But this is just, as they call it, this draft. We're spitballing. But you want to get real, you want to sign a contract and move forward. This is the kind of fast-paced performance we can offer you. And we can also offer you things that change for you when you're presenting to your customers so that your pricing and your product and your ideas remain fresh. And all we ask in return is that we have a contract where our pricing and our performance for you also remains fresh, so that if we encounter the same problems you face in your business, you're not going to screw our margins and put us out of business.
I love this. And I've heard...
It's a win-win.
Yeah, I've heard... I'm part of a CEO group of only professional services firm owners called Collective 54. And this, dynamic pricing was a topic, but that was version 1.0 long before the advent of AI. But now the dynamic pricing, like the inputs of my cogs are not just the human, but as the company grows, you have managers of managers, you have employee salaries that bump up, you have software that you acquire, you have real estate that you acquire as you get bigger. Your cogs are much more dynamic than people think they are. And that's amazing that your pricing could travel with those cogs in real time. Yeah.
Well, yes. Yes, it should. And there are all these other variables that people aren't thinking about in the moment or can't calculate in the moment that are very easy to do with simple algorithms based on particular industries. For instance, Sears and Roebuck Company, one of the original mega retailers. So popular that before toilet paper was invented, people were using the Sears catalog in their outhouses before there was indoor plumbing in America to, take care of business. And you look at the expansion of that company across the post-World War II boom. You look at their amazing pieces of real estate, postmodern design, gorgeous. Company, bankrupt.
Yeah.
Why was it bought for $6.5 billion out of bankruptcy with not just $6.5 billion cash offer, but also with over $5 billion of debt on the book? So we're talking about an $11 billion retail purchase. Yeah. Why? The real estate, right? So we can factor all these things in because real estate isn't just a cost, right? You're also purchasing for yourself something that is an investment in the future. And all of these costs can be priced into everything you do and every service you offer throughout the lifespan of your company. There's no reason for, and I'm not, again, CFOs on the call or watching this podcast, please don't run away. We are not trying to get rid of you. But CFOs, your job can be so much easier if you're helping your company plan for the future and giving value to everything you do, and also preparing for the expenses of everything you do, and then being able to adjust it on the fly for the changes you cannot anticipate.
That is a fantastic cap. How do people get a hold of you that are listening? Because this was really fascinating.
Well, right now we're just in the healthcare space. So dental, medical, animal health, aka vet. But we are expanding into new marketplaces. Whatever you want to know about us now and in the future, BASE86, base86.com, at base86 on the socials. Very few places. Someone had base86, I want to say is like X, aka Twitter. I think it's base86 app there. But if you're looking for BASE86, you're not going to find a lot of other people with that name. Why? Because we're doing something totally different than what we anticipated. We started 5 years ago as a restaurant tech company. You don't want your home base to be 86th at a product. Did we change it? No. Why? Do people change their cell phone numbers in this day and age? No, because there's not long distance anymore. There's not, you got a cell phone number. It's like your social security number. It just follows you everywhere now.
I've had the same cell phone for 20 years. Yeah.
Exactly. Same here. I've got a New York cell phone. I haven't lived in New York in over a decade.
Yeah. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. And great having you on the podcast.
Absolute pleasure. And I hope that everyone listening gets at least a modicum of value out of this. And if not, and you want to hit me up and tell me that I was totally useless to you, JESS, not Jesse, and definitely not Jeff, JESS at base86.com. My email is open to everyone. And thank you for hosting and thank you for doing what you do.
Awesome. Thank you.
You be well.